Hello everybody and welcome to another what did I play this Thursday. Last night Chipping and Board Games Club, we played two games, one of which was an old favourite of mine, so Trekking Through History, great game. And I talked about that before on here and reviewed it and so on, but the other game, I think I may have played it before there, I can't remember, a long time ago. But anyway, so I'll talk to you as if I've not played it before, and that was my first impression of it last night. So literally, this is not a game review per se, it's not how to play, it's literally my first impression. So what did I play this Thursday? About Iberian Gauge. So this is a what they call cube rails game. So it's like a kind of mini 18xx. 18xx means 1830 or 1831, that kind of thing. So there was a series of games brought out, I think it started in 1829 actually. So 1829 was a game about building railways and stocks and shares relating to that. Very in-depth kind of sprawling board games that take a lot of time to play, build these railways on hexes on the board and so on. So then there are a series of cube rail games which are kind of mini versions of these 18xx games. Irish Gauge, Iberian Gauge, that kind of thing. So this is Iberian Gauge. So as I say, my first impressions, we played it as a 5, so it plays up to 5, which is great. And you play with all the trains, basically all the different companies, and there are a couple of stages in the game. There's a buying shares stage, and then a laying track stage, and then another buying shares stage, and then two laying track stages, sort of thing. So the stages are buying shares and laying track, and the way that it works is you've all got a colour. So in last night's case I was white, and you get 20, let's say 20 thereabouts, white cubes that you're going to place against various stocks of companies, and you buy shares in those companies. So there are, I think, 6 different train companies, so different colours: red, orange, blue, green, that kind of thing. And the shares, when you're the first person to buy stock in that company, you create the share price. So there's a sort of little area that you have to make your share price between. There's lower prices and higher prices than that, but you have to kind of pick a price yourself at random between, I think it was 12 and 30. So for instance, it's 12, 14, 16, 20, 24, whatever. So you might think, I'm going to start these shares at 20. You start the game with 40, it was pesetas, because it was based in Spain, Iberia. So you get 40 to spend. So let's say, for instance, you start a company, you buy shares in that company, and you say, well, I'm going to start the trade on those shares at 20 pesetas. So you put the little counter on 20, and then you pay 20 for your share. Done. You put a little cube in there's a little kind of row of trains, sort of double depth boards. You put your cube in one of the trains for that colour, and that's you buying that share. So you've got that share by the notification of your cube in it, and the share price is set at 20. So as the game goes by, that share price may go up or down depending on the game's progression, and then, so obviously you don't kind of physically have a share, but your cube in that train double layer board indicates you own that share, one share. So that share may go up to say 28, and then that is 28. So you bought it for 20, it's 28. And at the end of the game, you kind of just balance up all the shares that you've got in the different companies, and whatever the price is at that point, that's the money you make. So you buy a share, and everyone else does that, and you keep going around until everyone's bought the shares they can afford, because you've only started with 40. If somebody starts a share company with 28 pesetas, you can't afford to buy that when it comes around to you, because you've only got 20 left, because you've just started a company with 20. So you buy the shares on that first round, and it's very sort of limited in the first round because you haven't got much money. And then comes the train building phase. So basically each person that's got a share in that company, you go through one at a time. So for instance, I've got my little white cube in the red trains. So I've got a share in that company. I pick up a red train and I put it onto the hex board. Now the hex board is, in this case, it's Spain. And there are cities and there are towns, industrial towns, cities, industrial towns, and then just regular terrain. Terrain is kind of just either green, which is just flat terrain, or darker green, which is hilly, mountainous, so you need to do a bit more kind of work. And you pay money from the company to lay a train track, if you like. So when I bought my share for 20, it doesn't go into the bank, it goes into that company's kind of pile, into that the coffers of that company. So let's say, for instance, I was the only person that bought one share at 20 in that company. There is 20 pesetas sat in that company's coffers. And the cost of laying a train is, it's like a little sliding scale, depending on where you're going. So a green terrain is, I think it was 2 pesetas. A dark green terrain, so harder, was 4 pesetas. If you go into a city, it was 8 pesetas maybe. And into a town, it's 4 pesetas. So it's that kind of thing. So depending on what you're going, let's say you just put a little thing in a town, that's 4 pesetas, whatever. So you put that money from the coffers of the company into the bank then. So the coffers of the company goes down by that amount, and that's the money they've got to lay track next time. And then each person takes it in turn laying various company tracks. So you've got different kind of trains for each one. You start in a city, so you have to decide which city you're going to start in, and then you just have to kind of try and reach other points of interest, really, so the towns or the cities, via whichever quickest, shortest route you can. Now, if there's only one person in a company at any point, then there's only going to be one train track laid for that company in that round of track laying. If there were 3 people that had bought stocks in that company, there would be 3 track laying sections. So player A, B and C would all have a piece of train track to lay. It's just a train, but so assuming that the coffers have got enough funds in the company coffers to pay the fee to lay the track, where you don't have to lay track, it's optional. You lay your track down and the track extends. Now if you get to another point of interest kind of thing, so if you get to another city or another industrial centre, town, that's fine. You've achieved what you need to achieve. If you don't achieve that, get into another town or city, your share price goes down, and it goes down the amount of people that are in that company. So if that's the point. If there's only one of you in a company, you're only going to lay one track, you're not going to reach another city, and that stock price will go down by the number of people in the company. So there's only one, it goes down one slot. So if I started a company at 20 and then I lay my track, it doesn't reach the next town or city, it goes down one slot, probably to 18. I can't remember what it is, but so down to 18. And if I fail again next time, it goes down to 12, 14, 16, whatever. It's not got to get caught up in the details. Yeah, so, but of course you can target for the next go when you're going to lay track again. So, but as the game goes on, obviously the stocks get filled up. People do tend to buy into other companies. So then there's more likelihood that you will reach the targets and the stocks will go up. And there's a little sliding scale that when you achieve the target, i.e. reaching another town or city, your little stock price, well, there's 2 tracks actually. One is the share payout dividend price, and that goes up when you hit a town or a city. And there are also the stock price, so the share price. So there's the dividend track and the price track. So let's say, go back to my example again, there's a 20 peseta stock price. My payout for owning a share in that company at the end of that round might be 3 pesetas. So at the end of the round, when you've done the track laying, you go through each member of a company, so anyone that owns shares, and you get paid. There's a little sort of sliding scale, and it goes up, I think, by 4 pesetas, something like that. So it goes from 3 to 7 to 11, that kind of thing. When you achieve those targets of reaching other cities, it just creeps up a little bit more. So you do the round, you get paid your shares, 3 pesetas in this case. And if you go if you go into a city, and or there's a little sort of thresholds on the share dividend price, there's little thresholds that when you reach those, the actual share price goes up as well. So at various points, both the tracks are going up. So my $20, 20 peseta share price might go up to 22 or 25 or 26 or 30. So those things are slowly increasing unless you fail to make these towns or cities, in which case it slides down. And so you're constantly trying to buy shares in companies until they get all sold out. Buy shares in companies that are looking attractive, that got good share price, that got good dividend payout, because these things are constantly changing. And also, you can lease track off of another company. So if you can't quite make a trip across to the next town, city, you can lease track of another company. So and it's the same sort of thing as if you'd laid the track, you pay a similar price, but you don't pay it to the bank from the coffers of the company, you pay it to the other company. So for instance, I could lease a track of the orange company, and it costs, say, let's cost it 12 pesetas to lease 3 sections or something like that. I wouldn't take it out and pay into the bank, I'd take it out and give it to the orange company. So then the orange company's coffers are swelling, but I just lease track of them to get to another city so that I can achieve my goal to raise my price and so on. Very nicely balanced mechanics, and the board looks great with all the trains sort of starting to appear on it. The different companies have different amounts of availability of stock, so some are only 4 availabilities and some are 6, you know, so you might want to try and jump in quick on the limited availability of the 4 stock companies, or oh no, actually I'll try and get 2 or 3 in the 6th company, and you can only buy one. Don't want to do that. One stock in a company at any given round. You can't buy, say, 2 or 3. You can buy a couple. The round goes around until you've run out of money or until you stop bidding, until everybody passes. So you could buy 1 in orange, 1 in red, 1 in blue if you could afford it, but you can only buy 1 in each of those per round, and then next round you could buy another one in that same company if you wanted to increase your stock holdings. Very nice, very simple, and it only goes, there's 5 rounds of stock buying and 1, 2, 3, 7 rounds of track laying, so not many. Goes fairly quickly. I mean, as 5, it's 5 of us. I think it took 2.5 hours, maybe 2 hours, 2.5 hours. So it took a little while because there were 5 of us, and it obviously takes a little bit of time to sort of play the game. But it's actually fairly quick, I guess. And if you played it as 3 or 4, it's probably quicker because it's only these 10 rounds or whatever. Yeah, really nice game. I really liked it. It plays well. I think I came about 3rd. Can't remember. Didn't win. I got snookered by Brig. he used up one of his stock track laying goes to actually fail me on reaching a target city at the end of the game. So my share price went down and I lost a bit of money because he had shares in that company too, but he only had 1 and I had 2. So he lost a little bit of money. I lost a lot of money. So it's a very sneaky move right at death. Very good. But so you can do that kind of thing where you kind of, oh, actually, I can help the orange company or the blue company because I've got shares in that company, or I can actually snooker them by going away from them and playing in a different direction so they can't use other people's tracks and lease their tracks. Very good. Nice little game. So I really enjoyed it. Iberian Gauge. If you've not seen it, see if you can check out a playthrough of it online or a review. Nice little game. Not too complicated, fairly easy to explain and understand. So yeah, it gets a big thumbs up from me. Iberian Gauge, that's what I played this Thursday. Hopefully you like that video, give you a bit of an insight if you fancy that sort of idea. And I'll see you on the next one. Thanks guys, I'll see you next Friday morning. Cheers.